Well, good afternoon and welcome back. Tom Christie in the carving shop. And this will be session 2 of carving a Drake Mallard kit that I did the pattern for. Sent that to Luke Costilow, and Luke has a company, Coffee Creek Cork, and he provides kits to people who want to make decoys. He'll bandsaw out the body, give you a rough head to work with, and really give you a jump start if you don't have a lot of equipment. You don't want to buy a ton of big sheets of cork. It's a nice, clean way of, especially for beginners working on a gunning mallard. So that's the goal of this series. In the last session, we got the head shaped up and the eyes installed. In this session, we'll work on shaping up the body and hopefully get that done in this session. Cork has the advantage of it's fairly soft. It carves fairly fast. You can use hand tools to carve it. I'm going to use a combination of hand tools and grinding equipment on my decoy, but it is feasible to use strictly hand tools to carve down a cork body, some sandpaper, and make yourself a nice gunning decoy. So that's the objective today. If you're enjoying my channel and getting value out of it, please hit the subscribe button. That does help me out. It's free. I'll keep it that way. This channel is just being built to provide free resources for people that might want to carve decoys, or people that are carving decoys and may want to learn some new techniques or different techniques. I don't have the best way figured out. I'm still working on that. But I can show you the way that I do this bird, and hopefully that will help you out. Okay, let's bring the camera in. I want to do some layout work. Just a reminder, this is a gunning decoy, so it's going to be a simple carve, not a lot of fancy details. We want to keep it very strong and functional and easy to repaint, repair if need be after a few long seasons of use. So we'll bring the camera in, do some layout work, and get carving. Welcome back. I mentioned that layout work. I've got the head in position. I want a slight left turn. Nothing too radical, because I want a good profile from both sides from a distance on the bird, but I do like a little bit of a head turn to make it look more alive. So I've put it in the position I want it in, took my pencil, traced around the neck there so that I have that guideline on here. I want to leave this surface flat, so when I epoxy the head on, I've got a nice flat surface there. So I want to take material out around that, but leave this intact. We're going to want to take a lot of material off the sides here. And then in the back, I wanted to talk about this briefly. A couple of things. This is going to have a cork tail. Sometimes I put a hardwood tail insert just to make the bird a little more tolerant of abuse. But in the case of a thick cork tail, it's also fairly strong and durable. I'm going to leave that full thickness that Luke has cut here so that we keep the tail strong. I want to get a dimension from the bottom of the bird to the top of the tail, and then transfer that so I know the position the tail enters the body there. Again, keep that thickness. Do the same thing on this side. Up to that point. So I know where the tail is going to be. The side pockets, we already have those established with Luke's cutout and my pattern. And then in the back, Since this is all cork back here, I don't want to do anything fancy with a tail curl insert or anything. I'm not even going to put a through hole probably in that location. I just want the wingtips to come together in the middle, kind of on top of the tail curl, and keep this all very strong. So from the top down view, the wings are going to, primaries are going to angle to the back and be together. And then we'll carve down a little bit of an indication of a curl in the cork. So I'm going to keep that curl about that thick, and the primaries are going to angle into that. So roughly in that position around the center line. And then we can see later how much additional detail we want to put in there. Okay. Now, you could very carefully use a sharp knife and take this material down a little at a time. Just be very careful, obviously. In lieu of that, and to go a little faster, I'm going to do a little bit of bandsawing to take kind of some of this material and get it out of the way. But again, you could use your hand tools, just takes a little longer. And then we'll start grinding this cork. The cork material is very dusty, so I recommend some dust collection equipment or work outside with a respirator so that you don't get any of that cork dust in your lungs. Okay, enough talking. All right, I've got the table set at 30 degrees and I want to peel off just a little bit of a corner here so I don't leave just a sharp edge on the bottom of the decoy. And then we'll take some material off the top as well. I'm going to apologize in advance. My focus is not very good on this, but I've just got the decoy resting on the 30-degree table and just taking it through there and peeling off that bit of a corner. And I do that because any sharp edge that takes an impact, it's going to be easy to get damage. So we want some rounded surfaces here. I don't want to undercut this very far because the wider I keep the decoy in contact with the water, the more stable it's going to ride. Now I'm going to set the decoy on its side and carefully guide it through here on this angle, kind of following my guidelines, keeping my hands out of the way and peeling off a piece. And I'm going to take one more pass at a little different angle here and just take off a little bit more material kind of down to the center of the side pocket there. I had sketched a guideline on there. And same thing on the opposite side there, the two cuts. That looks pretty good. And that's about all I want to do on the bandsaw. While I have the bandsaw dust collection set up, I'm going to cut my oak keel to length. And everybody has a different style on their keels. I like to put a rounded front and an angled back. Not sure why, it's just how I started doing it, and it has worked well for me. And so I'm going to cut that to length right there. And that way we'll have that keel ready to shape up later in the project. This oak is very hard, so I'm just going to take my time, go around this curve. And I've got a 1/4 inch, 6 tooth per inch blade here, just for your reference. Now I'm going to cut that back angle. Great focus on my hands here, but you can't see what I'm doing. Anyway, I peeled off that back piece. Now I'm going over to the drill press, and with a 1/4 inch drill, I'm going to drill these keel attachment holes for the screws that'll fasten it to the bottom of the decoy. And then I'm going to drill a hole here for the anchor line attachment. And now I'm going to move over and use my router and just take the edges off the keel again, so I don't have a hard, sharp edge that's going to take an impact and be damaged quickly. A little roundness, in my opinion, helps the sturdiness. So I'm just taking the edges off the lower section there and then beveling the anchor line hole so it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to countersink the keel screw holes here for the head of the screw so that it's flush with the bottom of the keel. It's just a quick picture of the routed keel. So we'll set that aside for later. All right, now I'm going to start shaping up the body, and I'm going to use this 3/4 inch saber tooth burr, fine tooth. The yellow color is the fine tooth. And begin to shape up the body. And I have dust collection equipment pulling airflow down, but you can see this cork dust is a little heavier and it kind of goes everywhere. So I've got a respirator on just to keep it away from my lungs, and a shop apron. So I'm just shaping up the breast there. And I'm going to speed this up in a minute. I want to just show you the speed that I'm carving at to begin with. And then to get through it a little quicker, we can speed the video up. There's quite a bit of material I've got to take off. And my goal here is just in general rounding the body so that I don't have any square surfaces. I'll get my arm out of the way there. Better view here. Just rounding the breast. You can see I'm leaving that shelf for the head attachment intact, so we have a nice flat surface there for the epoxy later. I'm going to keep my center line intact because I don't want to shape the side, change the shape of the side profile of the decoy by grinding off the center line. So I'll keep that in front of me as I carve here. I'm going to jump forward again a little bit, get through this quicker. Now I'm working the other side where the neck comes into the breast there. There's a little bit of a groove between the breast and the side pocket there. Not much, just a little. All right, I'll skip ahead again. I'm just showing you pieces here. It can get pretty boring watching this. I realize that, so try to keep it interesting here. Now I'm just rounding the lower edge where I had peeled a little material off with the bandsaw. And I'll actually sand that edge later so I've got a nice smooth round edge underneath. Now I can start taking off material back here where the tertials are going to line up with those primaries that are coming together in the center on the back. Now I want to start taking material off here carefully, and I'm going to go at this very slowly. Not even with cork and power tools, if I dig in too hard, the burr can sometimes jump. I just want to peel off a little bit at a time, layer by layer, and take this down to that guideline on the upper side of the tail that I've drawn for myself. So I'm taking that down to that guideline. Now I can start removing material under the tail as well. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thickness on the tail right now. I may thin that up a little bit more later, but right now I'm just going to keep it thick. Now I can start to take material off and kind of form a V shape where the primaries meet in the middle at the back here. And start angling some material to form those primaries. And they're going to tuck on top of the tail curl. I haven't quite figured out how much tail curl I want to show on this cork decoy, but we'll figure it out together as we go here. I try to make each decoy a little bit different than the others I've made, just to keep things interesting. All right, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit more here. All right, I'm removing material on this other side. And you can see that V shape is starting to form slowly from the top where the primaries angle back and kind of touch at the center line above the tail curl. My camera angle is not the best here, I realize that, but I've got a stationary tripod and I capture what I can get while I'm carving, but don't spend too much time moving the camera around. I'll skip ahead here. Now I'm working the rump under the tail here and getting that rounded and defining the lower edge of the tail. A little better view of what's going on there. A little farther along here, and you can see the rounded shape of the body starting to take shape. I'm just going back to that breast area, and you can see the little bit of definition between the breast and the side pocket of the bird there. And that's a little better view of the back and the carving I've done on the tail so far. You can see my arm is completely covered with cork dust, so this is definitely a messy process, even with dust collection. Kind of got the rough rounding about where I want to stop and take a look and do some more layout work before we move on. So I'm going to set that aside. I just wanted to show you how much dust I've got on my lap here from the cork. Putting that in the dust collection system so I don't have to sweep it up. And this is one feature of my dust collection system. I made it so it's a quick disconnect so I can clean things up and then reattach to my carving board quickly with just kind of a twist lock. For what that's worth. Okay, we've got the body roughed out, rounded. Got the keel roughed out, the head ready to attach. In the next session, we'll do a little bit of detailing of the body, finish up some side pockets. We'll work on this area back here where the primaries and the tail curl come together, and put a little cape in there, some shape to the body. Okay, I think we'll stop there for session 2. Got quite a bit of work done today, and in the next session, as I mentioned before, we'll start putting a little bit of detail to the body, shape up the side pockets, probably get the keel mounted, and maybe get it ready for flotation. We'll see how far we get. Until then, Tom Christie signing out. Good carving to you.